So that's when I've seen cones, and when they were training, and I could hear when they were playing, small-sided games at times, and if they were playing 11 against 11, and I'll hear Ariko Saki saying, there was a guy called Castakoti something, or Paul Maldini. And there was another one called Paresi, a center half. And so he would say to Paresi, Paresi, the piano, where is the real? So I didn't know what he was saying. But I could see that Paresi, when he had the ball,
when they said that,
yeah, he wouldn't just hoof the ball. He would pass the ball, get it back. And so I said, oh, this
piano.
Yeah, this because he kept saying, Enrico, piano. He will go on the line. They say, this Baresi. I say, Pareto is the piano. So that's when the idea came and said, oh, this piano, it means maybe soft, easy, slowly, Don't do things in rush. So I just, when I came back, and something just came to say, no, this is the way we should play. In fact, we need to, when we have the ball, you don't have to rush. Just hold the ball, think. And I know it took me and Trot, I'm sure, something like 2 years.
To train and instill this in the players.
To train and instill this to the players, and just to make sure that they understand what I really wanted for them, the kind of system that I wanted them to play. So it took us time. It took us something like 2 years, me and Trot, because when we started doing that, I said to Trot, because Trot was a player, but I had to retire him.
You said stop,
Yeah, I retired him to be
assistant
coach, because I didn't have an assistant coach. In fact, I've just taken over from a gentleman called Ben Sekhale.
Yes.
Right. So, and then Zola said, hey man, manje mangabe sokunama player eningawazwisisi kahle, iPirates ifuna ama player man. Pirates then was struggling.
So the players left. I think it was
Bashin, Basil Steenkamp, Kapsedans, and then there was a player called Tungwenya, and the fourth player should have been Trot. But
you said Trot must come.
Yeah, but Trot refused. He said, no. Angwazi kudlala le Pirates ngcono ngihlale la nawe la siyilungise lento.
Patience is a virtue. Available from the end of July.
The story of love began when Baba Valentino taught Cupid how to shoot.
Try this.
Later, Valentino the 40th gave nervous suitors something to do with their hands. But then came Amma 2000s.
Why did you like her post?
Baba had to take a different approach.
Sham. Hey, try this.
When love is tough, love me tender.
It's Mzansi Legends on your World of Champions. You are in high definition, our world-class studios right here in Randburg. It's one of the shows that is very, very special to me. I am Pumlani Msibi. I hope it will be special to you too. Coming to you live from our high definition studios. Yes, we have a very, very special guest. There's many reasons that make him special. Let me not even waste time in introducing former Bafana coach, former Buccaneer, former Morocco Swallows, former Swaziland coach. It's Ephraim Shakes Mashaba. Shakes, thank you very much for your time. Finally, on the Legends Show.
Thank you, Pumlani, and let me say good evening to our viewers at home. And most importantly, I would like to say to our women, trust and hope that they've enjoyed and celebrated their holiday very well yesterday. I mean, those are the only people who can unite the country. So that is why we value them.
Sheikhs, the purpose of this show is to understand Ephraim Mashaba. The purpose of this show is to salute you for the wonderful contribution that you're making to the game of football in our country, because you continue making a contribution to the game of football. But I went to Soweto and I spoke to a couple of people. They said, oh, no, he grew up here. We always knew he was going to be a leader. Where does Sheikh Mashaba come from?
Yep, I grew up in a township called Orlando. I was born there, that is Orlando East. And I lived in a kasi called Boomtown. That's where I originate. If you go there, ask where Boomtown is. Unfortunately, I couldn't be Sibonda Lapo. People used to like me. We had a club there, Pumlani. It was called Orlando Preston Brothers. That is where things were happening.
You want to talk quickly about football, but let's go back to those early years. Let's go back to your school days. As a young boy growing up in the streets of Soweto, what sort of challenges did you guys face?
Yep, let me just tell you about my early ages at school. There was a school next to Jomo Sono's place where he lives. It was called Hlanganani, and later it was changed and called Liresh. That's where I did all my primary education until I went to Orlando High School, where I went for my matric qualifications. And that was the school. Most of the people that you see today, if I can tell you, people like Spiwe Nyanda, the Jackie Silebi, the current deputy president, Khali Mamutlante. They were my seniors at school. That is why when you talk to them about me, they don't even hesitate. They know what kind of a person you're talking about. Yeah, and we used to have a lot of things in that school. We had boxing. People won't believe when I say Jackie Silebi was one of the greatest boxers at school.
Did you box?
I tried, and they gave me a punch, and my mom stopped me and said, this is not for you. You rather play soccer.
Now, the football, now that you are already at Orlando High School, we already know some of the players who went on to make it big at the Orlando, who have played at Orlando, identified by the teams, because at this time, school football is big. So-called talent scouts needed to just watch school soccer to identify the best players.
Hey, you're bringing up something, Pumlani. If you go to places like Orlando East, Mlamlankunzi, you go to Pefeni, where one of the legends came from and where the Kaizer Chiefs Football Club was formed. That is Pefeni. You have a high school there that was called Matsike. And if you go to like a White City, you had Morris Isaacson, you had Naledi High School, you had Orlando High School, you had Deep Kloof. There was one that we all feared, not because they were good, vocational training. You know, they used to come to the matches. Others will be having hammers, others will be having chisels. Now we're scared, you know. But
to
they had
beat them now.
Yeah, so we were scared.
You know, there's trouble afterwards.
Yeah, but, you know, I'll tell you the truth, those were the times. We were living in what people call bad era. But on the other side, it was good.
You had your fun.
We had our fun. It led to such an extent that we made friends with policemen, the way they were troubling us. You know, you'd wake up in the morning with this club I'm talking about. We go and play maybe in Midlands. You walk. You play the whole day. When you come back, it is the police, it is the Tsotsis. You know, fortunately, we never had these big bags. We used to put our soccer boots in a plastic. When they come, you throw it there, and you just mark where you throw it. You'll come back tomorrow. Police will stop us. It was something that bad and good, you know. But I would say it made some of us who we are today. Because we were always on our toes. We've learned a lot of things out of that. You know, whenever you talk about that, there's a lot of things coming. That is why today we are saying history, it's an important thing to a nation. You know, yesterday our women folk were celebrating their day, you know, but a lot of bad things came. That is why if our kids could know what happened when those mothers marched to go and fight about this Dompas, which made us to live horrible life. The bad thing about that, they did a good thing, but the bad thing was in that Sharpeville shooting. If those things could come and be shown to our kids, what we went through to be where we are.
Shakes, the nickname, where does it come from and when did it start?
Yeah, a good question. You know, at Orlando Preston Brothers, you know, there was this old man, him and his brother, they were Shembe brothers. One had a shop, they used to, it was a cobbler. They used to mend shoes and all that. Yes. So they working. So they started this team. And then we had, you know, it was not a team, a club, because we used to have something like 6 to 7 divisions. But don't think when you talk about 7 divisions, you have 77 players. You find that you've got maybe 30 players, but we'll play 7 divisions on a day, which was a plus during those times.
You get to play with these, you get to play with, yeah.
Yeah. Then, you know, when we play, we'll keep changing. But now when the senior team comes, what we will do, as they change, you take their clothes, you put them on, because there were no dressing rooms at the time. They used to use us as hangers and some, you know, cabinets and all that. So you keep their bags. There was one gentleman, I think people will know him. He worked for Smirnoff, Ubrashasha. He was a rep. So he used to play central defense in the senior team. So they called, his name was Shasha. Eventually they called him Shakes. Why they call him Shakes? You know, when he was in position of the ball, he would do all these things. And now as I grew up, I was playing his position, and I would always say to my friends, I'm Brashasha. I'm shaking as well.
Okay, with the body movement.
Yes, and that's how I got the name.
And it stuck.
And it stuck up to today.
Now, from what is known as Pulukwane today comes a gentleman who also goes on to be a coach of Bafana Bafana, a distinguished gentleman indeed. I'm talking about the one and only Trapatone.
Gifre Mashaba, Shakes, Mauser. Those are the names that we used to call him as a former clubmate, as a former teammate, as a brother, as a friend, as an elder to me in particular. Because when I came to Morocco Salos in the late 70s, 79, Shakes was one of the senior players at Morocco Salos when he moved out of Orlando Pirates for so many years. We're actually looking up to Shakes to give guidance, to give directions, which of course he did with distinctions.
Baba Hauser could play midfield, centre half. He could play anywhere. He was a very strong, very dedicated to the game. He was a fair tackler. I would hate to think if he played in the World Cup, if he tackled a few guys where they would be, but very, extremely powerful man. And a leader. He used to lead us. He was always shouting out the instructions. Come on, guys, let's pull together. You know, we had some tough games. You know, in those days, when you played in all those derbies, it was tough and taxing.
When we lost the coach, George Santoro, the then chairman, Jackson Law, and also David Shavedi, both of them, of course, have left us. They then said to us, would you like to have a coach? Because we feel this gentleman, Sheikh Mashaba, has been long in football. He can actually take over the reins as a coach, because we're actually approaching around the Mainstay Cup at the time. We are, all agreed this is the correct time for a local person to take the charge. He did that with distinctions once more, up to until when we reached the finals of the Mainstay Cup. In 1980, then it was called the first film ever produced for football in South Africa, if I recall. It was the Mainstay Cup, called The Way of Life.
I think even from those times, the way he used to lead the team, I think he always had it in him to eventually go into coaching.
When he took over at some certain stages for the national team, under 20, he asked me to become his assistant coach, because I was the under 17 coach at the time.
I'm very blessed in a way that I've played with two national coaches in the same team, Trot and Shakes, which was, I don't think too many people can say that, or too many white people can say that. So which I think also goes down for me as a highlight of my life. And I think you know as well that I think my whole football career, with all the guys, including Shakes and Trot, Jomo, all those guys, it's always been a highlight of my life to have been blessed to have actually done that.
The Shangana Lamina, Shakes. I came to learn